Friends, what did we just learn about the future expansion of Disneyland? And what exciting news did we just learn about the future expansion of Disney's California Adventure? And most importantly, a huge mistake that it appears Disneyland is avoiding. Greetings, fellow citizens of Disneyland. Brickey here with our 8th video in our Disneyland expansion series, 7 things we just learned about Disneyland Forward and how this plan is quickly evolving. Friends, this week delivered some amazing breaking news about Disneyland Forward. I believe giving us a lot of insight into this plan and how it's developing all along the way. By not only paying attention to what they're saying, but how what they're saying has changed, it gives us a lot of insight into how this project is starting to take shape. Don't worry, on our Disneyland Forward series, I'll be making separate videos to break down all of the things we're talking about today, but I had to jump in and give you an overview. 7 things that we just learned that I believe are gonna make this place significantly better for decades to come, if they follow the plan that they're laying out and don't pause and pivot along the way and go cheap. Now this one might be the most boring for most of us, but it's an important part of the story, and when this is a standalone video, maybe you watch this one or maybe you don't. But it's my responsibility to tell you the stories and to tell you how little things affect the big things we all want to have happen at the Disneyland Resort. So we start with a boring one, but trust me, it's going to get very exciting from here. Number 7, Disney is essentially paying off the city. And I'm not talking about a bribe, but strategically making the city an invested partner in Disneyland Forward happening by putting millions of dollars, 30 million to be exact, into affordable housing and also dedicating over $8 million into building public parks all around Anaheim. They're willing to pony up and put money into the city for the city being gracious enough to let them do what they're doing. But mind you, what they're doing, they're not asking for any loans from the city, from the county, or from the state, or from the federal government. They're going to self-fund it all, and they're not looking to buy anybody's land. They're going to do everything with the existing land they already have, except for a couple of streets that they're going to buy. And why you should be excited for this is it makes it very tempting for people not to say no. You're not taking money, you're only putting money back into your resort, which will create millions of dollars in revenue, bringing millions of people to the resort over the next decades to come. And on top of that, you're going to kick back to the city and help it become a better version of itself. They are setting the ground, the baseline, to make it hard for anybody to say no. All right. Now let's get on to some more fun stuff. Now, one of the first videos I made in this series comes up to our number 6. They are for sure building that parking garage over on the eastern side of the resort, putting in sky bridges like the one that I'm walking on, but making them so people can still get down to the supportive stores and hotels below, which you may remember was a big deal breaker when they first tried to put this parking structure up a few years ago. They got a pushback from the community, but the new bridges will be made so that people can still go to McDonald's and still go to Disneyland. And friends, this new parking structure will be bigger than Mickey and Friends and Pixar Pals combined. Over 17,000 spaces of parking will be available on the eastern side of the park, and just like Mickey and Friends, you'll be able to get right off the highway and pull into the new parking garage, which is such a time saver. And friends, these parking structures are already so massive. Imagine something even bigger. But why would you need something even bigger? Well, because you're going to make your resort even bigger. And ask yourself, what would truly bring in enough guests to justify something this big? Is it more shopping? Is it more hotels? Or is it more of what Disney does better than anybody? More theme park attractions and more theme park entertainment. That requires a way bigger parking garage. We're gonna need a bigger boat. Now, I already did a standalone video about Magic Way being purchased by Disneyland for theme park space to show up right where I'm at. But in the future, we'll do a video breaking down how Clementine and Hotel Way are both going to be bought to further the parking structure development that'll be happening over on the eastern side. Paying tens of millions of dollars to the city of Anaheim to take over these streets. We've seen them do this before. We've seen them do this before to make a partnership with Anaheim to be able to scale and grow their theme park. 2 more streets coming, more videos coming. And in the other videos that we've done, breaking down the parking structure and a lot of activity over on the eastern side, we predicted that these spots would be purchased to make the new parking structure work. Because when number 1 goes into effect, you're gonna need a lot more parking. Now, number 4 might actually be the most important thing on this list, but I have to break down this one so 3, 2, and 1 all make sense. But number 4 is this. It appears that Disney is backing off on the idea of making the weirdest theme park ever by declaring the hotel area its own standalone park. Let's break this one down. Making this space in between Mickey and Friends, the Disneyland Hotel, and Pixar Place. Making this area a standalone park would be insane because it's way too small to be a full day park. About 18 to 20 different attractions. And I'm not talking 18 to 20 different rides, I'm talking 18 to 20 different attractions. That includes rides, shops, and dining. 18 to 20 different things to do is what would fit in this parcel of land. But also, it would be insane navigating through the tight corridors around the Disneyland Hotel. Not being fair to the people that are staying at the hotel, and not being fair to people that bought a theme park ticket for this bizarre place. This would be by far a disruptive experience for all guests, regardless of what their plans or intentions for that day would be. Now don't worry, I'll be doing a full video breaking this down because this is something that I am so excited about. But when I saw all the different content that came out this week, I could tell the tone had changed, the concept art had changed, and the way they were pitching this had changed. And it all changed for our better. And there's a very, very good reason why Disney is being very coy about all of this, and I don't blame them. I would do the absolute same thing. Because when they announce what they're eventually going to announce, it's going to be a headline that will be heard all around the world. So you want to hold on to that until you're ready to strike and until you're ready to make it work for you. And there is construction going on everywhere around me. It is wild how much stuff is already happening at the resort, and we're not even close to Forward kicking off. So now that I've given you a bit of a teaser on number 4, let's jump into my top 3 things that I took away, because these 3 are absolutely monumental. But I think that those 3 are all contingent on the idea that it looks like the conversation has shifted. I never ever thought that this was going to be a standalone park, because as I studied it, tried to make sense of it, I just said, there is no way. That is a rouge. That is just something to get people excited, but not exactly showing everything they have in mind, because the way that media and marketing happens, you want to save those big announcements for when you're ready to make that big splash. And we are years away from that moment. So being a little bit vague is very important. Friends, if you're enjoying today's video breaking down Disneyland Forward, make sure you subscribe to Hey Brickey, where we do this series once a month. There's already 7 episodes about the expansion of Disneyland and Disneyland Forward in this series, and each one of the topics we're talking about today will be broken down into its own standalone video. So you're going to want to make sure that you subscribe to Hey Brickey so you can go on this amazing journey with me and have all of this fun breaking down the future of Disneyland. Thank you for subscribing to Hey Brickey, and thank you for sharing the same excitement that I have about Disneyland Forward. Number 3, it appears that a large, massive expansion is coming to Disney's California Adventure, finally giving this park the opportunity to live up to its original promise. Disney's California Adventure was originally zoned to be much larger than what it materialized to actually be. Disneyland Forward finally gives Disney's California Adventure a full opportunity to be on a level playing field with the historic original Disneyland. I do believe that this expansion, if I'm reading it right, could make DCA finally a full day theme park experience for Disney fans. One of the biggest takeaways from the new way that I feel like they're communicating about Disneyland Forward, it felt like tonally the conversation had shifted into using this space exclusively for an extension of Disney's California Adventure. This area is a massive footprint that would greatly improve Disney's California Adventure, making it a day maybe a day plus park, depending on the age and size of your group. And with the presentation webinar that they sent out on Monday night, and with everything that was released Tuesday after they did the City Hall meetup, it feels as if the tone has changed, making it look more as if all of this around me is imagined to be a part of DCA. It seems like they have gotten away from the convoluted idea of making the most complicated and weirdest design theme park of all time that has to worm its way around 2 hotels and a parking garage. Creating multiple lands in here will be no problem at all, and creating perfect sight lines will be no problem. However, trying to get guests from this part of the park over to the other side would have been one of the worst design and theme park experience decisions that Disney had possibly ever made at the Disneyland Resort. So I'm very excited to see that this is going to become a part of DCA. Full video to follow where I'll give you all the different proof. But right now, I'm just so excited that it looks like the Forward plan is going the way that I planned for it to go. And another exciting thing that we learned about Disneyland Forward is the idea that another portal land will be coming to Disneyland, and this makes me so excited. One of the major things that has changed in this recent presentation of Disneyland Forward is the way they're talking about the future expansion of Disneyland and making a lot of nods to Fantasy Springs that will be opening later this year in Tokyo, creating a portal land where you have one narrow passage or keyhole the guests are forced through and then enter into a completely immersive experience. Not too different than what we see in Toontown, Galaxy's Edge, or when you pass through the rocks of Radiator Springs. One of those, I believe, if we read the tea leaves, is going to be coming to Disneyland and sending guests through this tunnel directly behind me. Well, there's not a tunnel yet, but there's a pathway here that would lead over to this part of Disneyland Forward that would make Disneyland even bigger and, dare I say, even more magical. And instead of Critter Country and Tiana's Bayou Adventure being the end of the line, it will be the first sign that you are on your way to this new portal land that will be coming with Disneyland Forward. And I have some speculations on exactly what that IP is going to be, but we're going to have to wait until I make that standalone video, because there's a lot of tells and a lot of requirements that I think this land will need to be able to creatively solve, but I think I have a good read on it. And with this new land being a very tight plot of land, that means we're going to have tight sight lines. So get ready to see more items like this popping up at the Disneyland Resort, where once again, we're going to have to figure out the challenge. How do we make Mickey and Friends and Pixar Piles parking structures disappear, as well as the Disneyland Hotel? So much to break down, so much to discover, and I'm here for it. I love this stuff. So with Disney not trying to stitch that land into this land to make it some sort of convoluted theme park, that means that the portal land that would come from Critter Country will be popping out to exactly where I'm standing right now. Meaning, at some point, everything that you see around me will be a part of Disneyland. And the reason they push so hard on the Fantasy Springs concept is because that's the type of design concept that will work in this space to block out Mickey and Friends and the Disneyland Hotel. Not a perfect space, but a perfect placement to bring Disneyland out a little bit more and to make Disneyland, for many folks, truly a full day experience, and for other folks, maybe a multi-day experience. Because if Disneyland becomes a multi-day experience and DCA becomes a full or multi-day experience, you now have a 3 to 4 day trip. All you need is one more park, and you have people coming here for 5 solid days of entertainment. Friends, let's go to number 1. As I have been promising for a long time, my biggest takeaway from the Disneyland Forward presentations this week, my biggest takeaway is this. They casually just mentioned what they were doing with the Toy Story parking lot. No more shopping, no more entertainment, just kind of breeze past it. And why? Because they don't really want to tell you what they're doing over there, because it's the greatest reveal that they have for Disneyland Forward. That space at the Toy Story parking lot has been zoned for theme park expansion, meaning my video I've already made is looking a little bit more real, that is the home for the third gate that will come to the Disneyland Resort. All of this behind me, this convoluted parcel of land that goes from here to the Disneyland Hotel, over to Pixar Place to the Simba parking lot, that will not become one continuous theme park, only able to have about 28 different attractions. This will be a part of Disneyland, that will be a part of DCA, and the Toy Story parking lot will be the third and final gate at the Disneyland Resort. I've already broken down all the ways that they'll be able to get people to flow into this space, how it makes sense, and how much room is there. I encourage you to watch this video right here that breaks down the exciting future of the Disneyland Resort. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you.